can happen.
Welcome back to What's the Worst That Could Happen property podcast. On this episode, we're joined by Ginny and Jeremy from Sowena Lettings, the coolest dream team making property management look easy with their friendly, no-nonsense approach. These two have seen it all from tricky tenants to full-blown landlord meltdowns. Oh, and Jeremy also happens to be my one and only OnlyFans subscriber. Let's get comfy, grab a coffee, and let's find out what's the worst that could happen. Jeremy, Ginny, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you. It's awesome to be here.
Thank you for coming. Let's get into it. Sowena Lettings gives off this warm and friendly, we've got you covered vibe. And I always find whenever I've met Jeremy, you've just got this calming aura about you, this reassuring presence. And that I really value that. So how do you keep that personal touch alive in an industry that's becoming more corporate and automated?
Wow, what a starting question. And thank you, first of all, to my OnlyFans and a compliment for to my cup floweth over. The bottom line for us is we absolutely love what we do. And it's very easy to be calm and cool and collected when you're talking about something that's you're really passionate about. We were talking earlier, you've done 35 years of teaching. So,
Me?
I'm sorry, less than that. Whereas I did 20 years of teaching. Ginny did 27 years of teaching. And there's that background of, okay, doing stuff that you really enjoy doing, but spreading the word. So my role is marketing and sales and building the team within Sowena Lettings. So I'm doing every day what I absolutely love doing. I'm getting out to networking events, sort of social media, and working with other people, developing the team, and talking about property, which has always been my passion.
Do you feel that you've got that teaching, coaching, mentoring, just natural instinct, and that's why you feel so fulfilled going out doing what you're doing?
It's really interesting you say that because, on our journey, I know you don't believe it, but 53 now, and I've been involved in property since really property was one of the first memories. My grandfather was in property. And he inspired me. He was somebody who was a bit of a black sheep in the family. And he was an entrepreneur. He was somebody he took the family, for example, in the 60s over to Zimbabwe, Rhodesia at the time, on a boat, 2.5 months on a boat to open a tobacco farm.
Courage.
Yeah, absolutely. And it didn't work out. So he came home again and he tried all sorts of business from farming. He was a Cockney.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah. So you can tell by my accent, right? But then he came down to Cornwall in the late 60s and he ended up building houses and actually building housing estates. And people say, oh my God, you must be so loaded. And you could buy a house back in the day for 350 quid. 350 quid for a house. So you imagine you bought 10 houses, 3.5 grand, you mortgage, and where would you be now? Those houses are worth $250,000. I'm pushing this because I've just always been fascinated with playing Monopoly, working with entrepreneurs that want to do it, and I was inspired by my grandfather. Sadly, he passed away before he could really pass it on, and the wealth that he'd created, because he came from nothing. But going back to what you were saying about the teaching thing, I went into teaching because my mates were doing it, really. To cut a long story short, my mum wanted to go to university. I wasn't strong enough to say, I don't want to do that. I actually want to go out and get a job. I want to be like my grandfather and getting into property, start making money. I went to university, did a sports degree. You'll love this one, Dave. Human movement studies, it was called.
I've done that quite a lot as well. In a different way, though.
You were bottom of the class, though, right?
And at bottom sometimes.
I finished this degree and the natural progression was into teaching. And my friends were teaching, so I did it. I hated that training year. Absolutely hated that training year. It was postgraduate certificate of education. And bizarrely, I'm with a lady who absolutely loved that training year because you became a teacher as well, didn't you?
I did, yeah. It's bizarre how we've ended up together, isn't it? And in a business that is not teaching.
Yeah.
But
I think
yes,
teachers attract teachers. My partner isn't a teacher, but I've got so many friends that are married. They were both teachers in the couple.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, and what a great place to start. I think being a teacher equips you for so many different jobs, so many different experiences. And going back to your description of Jeremy being calm and having that kind of demeanour, I think teaching is something which really, really promotes that and helps you develop those skills and having those relationships.
Skills, aren't they?
Yeah, 100%. And we're very different in the way that we operate and the way that we work. You're very much the blue sky thinker and the planner and the visionary and the out there person when it comes to the marketing and the networking and all of those things. Whereas I'm much more behind the scenes, operational, get brought out occasionally when I'm allowed to come and to promote our business, which is our absolute passion now. So
We're honoured that
here we are.
you've been brought out today.
Me too.
Is that true when you're allowed?
When I'm allowed? Yeah.
Fuck me, we're starting a domestic here.
I only come out for special occasions, so,
Oh,
this is
okay.
it, yeah.
So feel honoured.
So the teaching bit is the transfer of skills. But in 2018, I left teaching. I'd done some training with a training provider called Sowena Lettings. And up to that point, we'd invested in property, but without any science whatsoever.
No training in it.
Absolutely no training. Complete winging it. In fact, I bought my first property in St Austell, which is a little 2 up, 2 down opposite the Holmbush pub in St Austell, for £27,000 back in, I won't tell you, 1993, something like that. And I just remember saying to my dad, who was a policeman, "Dad, is this legal? Do you know, I've got a mortgage on this place, which I'm paying 350 quid for, and the rent on the place is 750 quid. Do you know, why isn't everybody doing this?" In 2018, made the decision, Ginny and I, sign up with the Sowena Lettings Academy, and we went through, and it was like, all of these strategies that you're not taught in schools, you're not told about in schools. I even went to solicitors. So, for example, there's something called a lease option agreement. And a lease option agreement has been done with commercial property for years and years and years. And we found this landlord who was desperate to sell his house, but he couldn't sell it because he needed £94,000 to cover the mortgages because he'd refinance. And the property was only worth 92,000. So it was maxed right up, and he just couldn't sell it. And because we'd learned about lease option agreements, which is where you agree a price now and pay it further down the line, we pitched this. He said, "That's amazing. So you'll cover all my expenses for the next 5 years. You'll manage the property, and we agree a price now. In 5 years' time, well, we agreed slightly higher than 94,000, so he was happy, but it gave us time for that property to really catch up in value.
Yeah.
And it was a win-win. And this was just one of the strategies that we learned at the time. Now, I went to a solicitor, which will remain nameless, that is a property solicitor. I said, I was just going to say his name. Can you draw me up an agreement so we can do that? Now, this property solicitor had been in property for a long time, and he said, "Never heard of it. What are you talking about?" And at that point, I realised that if you want to train in something and really know that industry, you've got to get specific advice. And I was sort of sat there reaching out to people in my small community here, whereas there's people out there. That's my new tribe of people that I wanted to be. We did this 12-month training course. And for us, that was just like, wow.
The real start, wasn't it?
Even for you.
It was more so for me probably because I had no property experience at all. I'd come from a very traditional upbringing, gone to school, gone to university, trained as a teacher, went into teaching and thought that was it for the next however many years. And really, really loved the teaching, knew nothing about business. And then when Jeremy and I got together and got together with the training programme and became aware of different strategies and how to run a business, it was a real eye-opener that there was a very, very different way. So it's been really exciting. And I think having gone through the education and now having our business as letting agents, it's made us very, very aware and able to help landlords when it comes to coming up with different solutions for their properties. So, yeah, that education has really set us in good stead.
I love doing these because I hear you talk and I keep constantly talk about or think about the bigger picture and where we've come from.
So it's quite good to bring me along so you know that I do actually know what we're doing and what I'm talking about. You check me out.
With the training weekend event or the launch of that academy that you went to, were you going along just to see then? Or were you like somewhat invested and keen to take a move away from the classroom?
No, I wasn't at all invested. I just went with Jeremy because he told me that that's where he wanted to go, what he was looking at. I mean, and of course I was interested. Of course, for me it was, this could be something different. But to actually go and have my eyes opened and to feel, in a way, why did I not know this? Why did I not know about property from an investment perspective before? Why did I not know that it could be an option for me? And therefore, if it's an option for me as a school teacher, as somebody who's come from a traditional sort of non-entrepreneurial background, it could be an option for so many other people as well, which is why we love what we do when it comes to the mentoring that we do now, to help other people who are just starting on their property journeys.
Yeah. So you almost have two hats on here, don't you?
Totally.
Because you've got the business, Sowena Lettings, so you are managing the property agreements, arrangements for the landlords, but then you've taken the career that you've had in teaching and utilised or combined that knowledge with your experience and business in lettings to show other people the route as well.
100%.
That's so good.
We're both really big believers that, it's almost a predestined route that we're all on. And I'm going to get to, I don't know if this is a bit of a woo-woo channel.
Bit spiritual.
Bit spiritual for you.
We can have some woo.
Thank you.
Bit of woo.
Like a bit of woo.
But that's been, since we met Samuel Leeds, it's been so much more than just property. There's the business element of it. There's the fact that we're in a relationship and we're life partners as well as business partners. And actually, Sowena, the name Sowena, which is a Cornish name, which means prosperity and wealth. And bizarrely, we both taught in Redruth and we moved back down to that area. If you walk around Redruth, you'll see Sowena as house names. We're not a massive company. We've got less than 100 properties. But our aim now is we came back to Cornwall because we're both Cornish. We're Cornish born and bred. 7% Welsh. Ginny told me not to say that.
Don't worry, we can cut that bit out.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Dave.
Right, yeah, don't let people know that.
But if I've just alienated a whole nation, that's probably racist as well, actually.
Yeah, probably a little bit. Bit of controversy is always good.
The environment is changing massively at the moment. Over the last 30 years, landlords have had it really good. But there's certain legislation that's coming in now. Well, it's actually an act of law now, and will be implemented over the next 2-3 years that will change things. And it's awesome to be part of that, because I think we've got an obligation, or we've got a responsibility as experienced landlords, experienced property investors, letting agents and managers now to support landlords and actually give them some of the experience. So as part of that, we're now mentors for Samuel Leeds that we started 7 years ago, went through their training program and were invited back as mentors to come and support other people that are starting off in their journey. And you wouldn't believe the number of people that are looking to use property as a vehicle to change their lives. And that goes back to, it was very much more than just property. It was about financial freedom. It was about mortgages, good debt, bad debt. It was about mindset. All the stuff, bizarrely, that you don't get taught in school.
No, they're trying to rewrite the curriculum, aren't they, now, to include more of that. But I some thought that's in my mind. My gran pushed me with my first house when I was 21. And she said, stretch yourself. That's what my granddad said to me. Stretch yourself, you'll make it happen, you'll be fine. So I was, it was a toss-up between two properties, and she gave me the push that I needed. And since then, I've seen that investment in property. At the time, my deposit was £8,000. I was 21. It was a huge amount of money for me. And that's that investment that I can now take into properties has grown. But I saw it then. I'm putting my money in a different bank, and it's a bank that I can see. And I think that sort of penny drop moment for me made me feel more confident investing. I'm just curious, with your one of your strap lines is you look after your landlord's properties as if they are your own, because you can see that they have invested money and that's their cash and you need to look after it. You can see it.
Exactly. And I think I really like the way that you put that it's just a different bank, because that is exactly what it is. So yeah, I like that. I might use that again, if that's okay.
Of course.
And we are letting agents, but we are not just letting agents, because we have got that background of being landlords ourselves. We take the responsibility very seriously. And like you say, this is an investment. The landlord has bought this property as an investment, and we see it as our responsibility to make sure that it's looked after as if it was our own. So we want to make sure that it's compliant, it's safe, it meets regulations, that we vet our tenants or their tenants very carefully to make sure that we get the right people in there for them, that it's regularly inspected, maintenance issues are dealt with really quickly. So it is looked after really well. They can maximise from the profit. We've got very happy tenants who want to stay longer, and everyone's happy.
Yeah.
I think listening to and the questions that you've asked, one of the biggest things, I'm really passionate about that financial freedom, about that understanding, managing your own finances. There's a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Somebody said to me, read that. In fact, I have to name him, Tom Marshall from Utility Warehouse. I was part of the network marketing group, which I still am. And again, network marketing is explained by Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that people shouldn't be employees. Because if you've got a job that lights you up, surgeons, for example, sports people, artists, people that have got a job that they absolutely love, great, awesome. But just make your money start working for you. And that book was the starting point for me. So you've got your grant, I've got Tom Marshall. Thank you, Tom. But they're like light bulb moments, and you don't get taught that in school. My daughter said, Dad, I don't want to be a businesswoman. I said, you don't need to be. What are you talking about? Well, you keep banging on about property. It's about making your money work for you and creating choices.
You'll like this, Jeremy. My second property was in a row of about 7 cottages. And at the time that I was looking to buy, my brother and his now wife were also looking in the same area. And these were the only 2 properties in that category. Drumfield. And my brother didn't fancy it, didn't have a drive, but I was really interested. And my parents had lived in one of the 7 cottages, 2 doors along. And I think I bought it for 144,000. And my dad was like, you mean to say if we'd still got that cottage? I think they'd sold it for about 18. And
oh my God.
30 years had passed.
Yeah.
You know, they then moved into their house, which they have now just left after 42 years. But the neighbouring property is then sold again for 190. It's just fascinating, really, to see that value does increase. It's a risk, but you have to trust your measurement of those risks.
I know this is lettings, and we want to talk about lettings, but can we get into this mortgage thing as well? Because this is one of my big bugbears, and you only get it when you get it. But we're brought up in society to pay off your mortgage as fast as you possibly can, because somebody else owns your property until you don't, right? The house I grew up in, right, in St Austell, so I was born in Penzance, moved to St Austell, and my folks bought a property which I believe was £12,000. And it was a really nice house, semi-detached house on the outskirts of St Austell. So they had a 75% loan-to-value mortgage. And at that time, it was a 30-year mortgage. So out of £12,000, it was about 8 as a mortgage. Now, that house was worth £12,000 30 years ago. And I said to my dad the other day, he said, Dad, just out of interest, what do you think that house is worth now? He said, I don't know, but I know you're going to tell me. And I said, I am. So if he kept that 8,000 mortgage and just paid the interest off, but kept that mortgage, that house now is worth around 350,000.
Shit. Some profit.
So that's 75% loan to value, which means your mortgage is 75% of whatever that property is worth. What's the loan to value now? The bank's quids in because they're getting their interest. They've also got some security because they'll have a first charge on your property. But if you're a landlord and you're savvy and you do your figures and your numbers and you work out that the money that you're borrowing from the bank can be serviced from the rent, plus you're going to make money on top, And if you are a responsible landlord, you put money aside to maintain the property. So that property's maintained. So that property built well should be there for hundreds of years, and you just maintain it. So you're making a margin on top of that, but you're also benefiting from the capital appreciation. We live on an island, right? And there are too many people for the number of properties that are here at the moment. And the government can't build enough houses to keep up with that demand at the moment. And I know the market's shifting, but for us, it's been a real no-brainer.
So let's ask a really, really simple question. If you were listening and you were interested in starting an investment property portfolio, so not something you're going to live in, what advice would you give to people that are thinking about, well, actually, do you know what? I have a small amount of money and I'm prepared to invest it in a property that's not my home. What would you advise?
I know you're looking at me right now, but I've spoken a lot.
You have spoken a lot, but it's all good stuff, and it's all good to sort of
So give me
reinforce where you are. To give you, I'm giving you license. But if I was going to give someone advice, I would say,
I knew you were going to say that.
I would 100% say, yeah, get educated, go and learn about property investment, find somebody that you know, like and trust that you can actually go to and learn the strategies, and don't do it without any science, because we speak to people day in, day out who are now doing education, going through a program, saying, oh, I've invested in property for years, but I've done it all wrong. I've made so many mistakes. It's cost me so much money. And now I'm ready to actually learn how to do it
That was me, wasn't
properly.
it?
That was you. It was
was
lots
me.
of people that we speak to. Yeah, absolutely. So learn it, get educated.
And there's no such thing as a stupid question.
There is no such thing as a stupid question.
If you don't know the
Well,
answer,
maybe.
it's not a
We'll
stupid
see.
question, right? But
Yeah.
I'd like to reiterate that. Investing in yourselves is so, so important. And it might not even be property. There's other vehicles that you can use. There's crypto, there's stocks and shares. And people say, what do you think about crypto? I said, it's probably freaking awesome, but I just don't understand enough to put my money in there, because I'm focused on, and I'm not saying it's bad or good. I'm just saying I know my vehicle and I know it inside out, and I will continue to upgrade my knowledge about it because I love it. That's what lights me up. That's what floats my boat. Got to be careful saying that with you. But there's a very famous investor called Warren Buffett, and his focus was stocks and shares. But he's committed his life because he loves that. He loves that. And he's created this wonderfully successful stocks and shares company. But he says, when people are greedy, be scared. And when people are scared, be greedy. And at the moment, in the residential lettings market, there's a lot of fear because there's a lot of change. And generally, people don't like change. But from that, there is all sorts of opportunities. And what we've learned and following successful people is when there are changes, people will look out and find those opportunities. They'll educate themselves. They'll understand the change. And there will always be opportunities from that. I saw an article recently that 50% of the private residential landlords market is either has or is considering selling their properties.
50%. And
I think it might be hhigher than that, 52, 53% maybe.
And do you suspect that's because of the Renters' Rights Act?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
This is a popularity thing that landlords have had it good for a long time, and it's about levelling up.
Is that so? I often think, why is this happening? There's a reason. There's a knock-on effect that the powers that be want to create. Do you see that it's a right, we need to level things up? Because surely that it just has a whole impact on the economy. Property is what helps the economy move.
Yeah.
So do you have a theory?
Yeah,
behind what
100%. Do you want to hear the dark, devious theory? Do you want the middle of the road theory, or just
Go
the
dark.
light-hearted? I'm going to put this on a podcast.
As
theory.
Dave always asks me, do you want the truth or a lie? And I think, let's have the truth.
Okay, so the bigger picture with where property's going, and there's something called the World Economic Forum that's out there doing, and we're talking about big, like world level, above government levels, and they're saying that every country is in huge debt, massive debt, and that debt will never be paid off. So at some point, there'll be a reset in each country, and that will be done differently in each country. However, until that time comes, if you notice, there's a lot of landlords selling up, but there's also a lot of property sales. And who's buying those properties? Lloyds Bank is the second biggest landlord in the country. They have thousands of properties. If you go to a bank and you ask for a loan, they'll ask you the reason for that loan. Now, the number one reason, the good reason, is if you want to improve your property. But another reason is I'm going on holiday. They'll give me a loan for that. I want a new car. Sure, I'll get a loan for that. And these things are, is that responsible lending? Just go and wing it on 2 weeks with Dave in Ibiza? May or may not be. I don't know.
I'm more of an Amsterdam kind of guy.
Yeah, I could kind of see that. But if you say to them, I want to go and buy a property or an investment property, nah, computer says no on that one. Whereas you put money into your savings accounts and the banks are using that money, and Lloyds Bank is buying property now like it's going out of fashion. And not just property in London, property all over the country that has a broad 10% yield, which is what we've been educated to do over the last 10. But you're not encouraged to do that, but the banks are doing it. Companies like BlackRock, big investment banks, pension funds, hedge funds, they're all putting money into property. And we've created our business or businesses based on the back of property. And I want to spread the word. And, you know, we are employed by Samuel Leeds as mentors now. And I can see so many people come, oh, yeah, but it's risky. Okay. There's a risk associated to any investment. I agree. But if you know that inside out, but why are the banks investing heavily and they're not going to lend you money to invest in your own portfolio? That's number one. That's the bigger picture. The smaller picture at the moment is, or the more short-term picture is, yeah, Warren Buffett, we are going to continue to invest in property, do you know, because at 53, we're actually taking teaching pensions next year, and we'll take that early. And I speak to lots of people, yeah, but if you go on a few more years, you're going to get an extra few £1,000s. Yeah, and you could be dead.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And that's a really realistic...
that is the harsh truth, isn't it?
Yeah. So we're going to take that property now, that money now, and we're going to put that into more property that we will manage and we will create an income from. Some of them will be higher than we expect. Some of them will be at what we expect, and some of them will be lower. But working on the stuff
absolutely, and making sure that all of the processes are really tight, so that landlords can be really reassured that their investment is being looked after, like I've said before. And it is about having those rigorous processes in place to make sure that rent arrears are chased, maintenance issues are dealt with timely, and all of those things. So it is your very big picture, as I've said before, but it comes down to what actually happens on a day-to-day basis in a day in the life of a letting agent, I guess, and what it actually looks like.
We definitely want to see that.
Yeah,
a vlog.
A vlog, yeah.
What are you actually doing?
What do we actually do? Well, today's been a very different day, and it's good. It's good.
I'd be stuffed without Ginny, because the bigger picture thinking is all good and proper, and I can see where things will develop, and I can see where things are going. But it's about having somebody to do the do. And now we're building a team. She now manages that team to do the do, because our aim is to support as many landlords as we can and to inform them, because there won't just be changes now. Those changes will continually come, and it's about keeping people up to speed.
For somebody that needs to know what are the renters' rights, and other examples of offences on there. I got my ears pricked up when you said offences. I thought, oh, what's an example? Because for me, it'd be downlights everywhere.
But it would look beautiful.
Question.
I want to say to people as well, it's Ginny who's made this simple as well, because I will overcomplicate whatever you want. Do you know, I'm very good at overcomplicate. Ginny's very good at simplifying things. The document that we've put out there is just a starting point. It's, you know, they can go to the website, you can download that one and have a look through. And there's also, they can call up and actually speak to Ginny or myself about their situation. But you said about things that are looking for. There's something called AWAP's law, which came in, I think it was last year, where sadly, you know, a toddler passed away through a condition that was brought on by, and I've got to be careful when I say damp or condensation, but basically there was a landlord who didn't, it was reported.
Unfit, essentially, isn't it? It was unfit.
Yeah.
It was damp related respiratory issues. Yeah. So there's been a law that's been put in place to mitigate this ever happening again.
And it's looking at this type of things, compliance issues that have been reported, and then they haven't actioned them. And it's giving guidelines of if there's something that's risk to life, it needs to be done there. You need to make sure that you've got EICR certificates, which is looking at all the electrical circuits in your property. If you're doing service accommodation, you have to have PAT testing done. We focus really through Sowena Lettings on family homes and HMOs. HMOs are far higher regulated than family homes.
I've got a question about first-time buyers, because I've spotted something happening, and I wonder whether you've seen this as well. First-time buyers who have been with their parents who live in a lovely area, and then they come to buy their own house and they can't afford something of those standards. And over time, our standards as a population have raised, which helps me in my job, certainly. And where we go to stay on holidays, that's more important to us now. But when they come to buy a house and they can't afford to be in the area or have the size or the facilities and drives and garages. So I've seen first-time buyers actually investing their money in a property that they don't want to live in very bravely and renting that out, perhaps in an area that they can afford, but they just don't want to live there. Stay at home with mum and dad, build on that investment, and then when they can, withdraw and move or keep it and save up another deposit. Have you seen that happening?
I've told my kids exactly the same. Read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Get people out there looking at Rich Dad. It's something that, in my opinion, has changed the world. But lots of people are very close to it. And we hear all the time, yeah, but if you've got an investment property and it's 3 hours from where you live, so you want to become a lettings manager then? You want to become a letting agent like us? No, I just want to be a property investor. So if you don't want to be a property investor, is it important for you to be within 20 minutes of the property?
Yeah.
And for us, you've got the property, which is the asset. You've done your due diligence on it. So you know the numbers now, you know your interest rates on your mortgage, you know the overheads, you know what money potentially coming in. So you know what this can make for you. Owning that property is one, and having the responsibilities of the owner's documents or whatever. The lettings and managing of that is another element to look at. And if you don't want to become a lettings manager, if you don't want to become a landlord, outsource it. Just work out how much that's going to cost you and put that into your
Factor in your
expenses.
profit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We're
And-
not financial advisors, but I actually use my student grant that I saved up as my deposit.
Also, absolutely.
Why wouldn't you? Yeah, absolutely.
Spend it somewhere that, like you say, is going to work hard.
So be honest, what's harder, managing landlords, managing tenants, or managing each other?
Oh, that's a leading question, isn't it? Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's Mr. and Mrs.
It is.
We've got two
No, right?
answers.
Absolutely.
We should have done boards.
We've
Yeah.
worked really,
Managing each other is
yeah,
a
we've worked
challenge
really
because-
hard on that. And
I'm going to talk. Shush.
okay, this is a classic example, isn't it? Dave, you know what you're doing, don't
Yeah, he
you?
does.
Yeah,
I know.
exactly.
He's really pressed the button now. He's really pressed the button. And we've got very, very different skill sets. We've got very different skill sets. As you can see, we present very differently. And to start with, when we were working together, because we suddenly ended up from two very separate worlds, running our business together, thinking, wow, this is great. We're in a business together. But with that comes a sudden realization that, oh my God, why won't he see things my way? Why does he do that all the time? Why is he saying that, thinking that? And you're getting frustrated with me because I think very differently to you. So to start with, for us, it was a very much a bit of a power struggle, a bit of a difference of opinions. And then we realized that we both had real superhuman qualities. And we went through a series of sort of profiling tests, if you like, to actually really find out what our strengths were. And if anyone wants to know, it's called Wealth Dynamics, and it was brilliant. It was really good. It really identified what our skill sets were, why we do things differently, and what to expect from each other in terms of how the business runs, which is why now I can sit back and I can let Jeremy do his big blue sky stuff, his visionary stuff, quite happily, because I know that's his skill set and
You
what
bought
we
me a
need.
whiteboard, didn't you?
Yeah, and what we need in our business to move it forwards. And he knows that I just need to get shit done. I just need to get on with it, because otherwise nothing's going to happen. And that doesn't frustrate you as much now. So managing each other has certainly been a learning process, and it's brilliant. We grow every day and learn every day. Managing landlords is great. I mean, we've got some brilliant landlords that we already work with, and you know, we like to work in a very open and transparent way, and communication is key. You know, we want to be open and honest. We want landlords to come to us with their worries and concerns and things to be really open, easy, conversational. And tenants, tenants are great. We've got some great tenants, and you always have a couple of tenants who are more challenging, but that's part of the job as well. And it is all about communication.
I suppose you foresee those challenges and you have that in your agreements, and
yes,
you can tailor those to be what's needed, really, can't you?
Absolutely. And I think it's about making sure that you've got tenants in situ who feel that they can come to you with any issues that they may have got, or questions or queries. You know what's going on because you're in communication with them. You know what their circumstances are. So it's about relationships, which is key.
When we started, we thought, oh man, this is our baby. And, it was a big control thing, I think. And actually, we can't scale and help lots and lots of landlords and lots of tenants and carry on with our mission of making renting better than owning without having good people. And what we've realised is there's a shed load of good people out there. There's not so good people, but it's also about working out really clearly what you want. The wealth dynamics, that was a game changer for us. And when you're in a business with your partner, just having simple things like, okay, you have to have boundaries. So we don't talk about business in the bedroom at all. That's one thing.
That's a complete lie, Joe.
That's not dirty talk.
That's another kind of business.
Tell me about that landlord.
If you bring that landlord into their bedroom again, yes.
And especially with the property investment side and with the letting side, and you could be talking about this all day, every day. So, with part of the education, we've put things in place where we have huddles a couple of times in the week where it's literally 15 minutes maximum, and you can bring up anything as long as you can resolve that in a minute. If not, it goes on to something called a level 10, which is meeting that we have sometimes once, sometimes twice a week, which throws up the challenges and issues that you need a little bit more input in. And we have a task management. So there's not a task in our business unless it goes onto that task management, which stops there. Oh, could you do that? Can you do that? Can you ask Karen to do that? Can you ask Edlyn to do that? And without that, you end up going potty. Number one, you've got to be passionate about that business. But number two, with that business, my definition of business is overcoming challenges. And people say, oh, I've got this massive problem. Well, if you call it a problem, it's going to be a problem. But that's just what your business is overcoming problems or overcoming challenges. Our aim is to be able to do more of these, like podcasts, and develop the marketing side so we can help and reach more landlords. And to be able to do that, Ginny's now got a team of people that are working under her that she manages, and she's also the director of that side of working on the operational side. And when you say to me, is it tougher working with landlords? I don't speak to many tenants, because Ginny's team does that side. And it's about developing your own skill set to develop that business and develop that company. But that's not something I made up. That's something I went on a training course about.
Yeah, of course.
And then learned to understand about yourself. Had the couples counselling to extract that information. And then you've got your whiteboard and the destination, and those new destinations come along, and then you set in the way there.
That sums it up brilliantly. Yeah.
Do you know what? Every time we come on and talk about things like this, it embeds it more in us. And it's like, oh, I've got a real pride of thinking, 7 years ago, it was, we've got to do this. And it was the carnage. And just accept any new business is going to be carnage.
Yeah.
You can have a brand that you can hide behind, but everything behind it, until it's overcoming those challenges, that's what it's all about. And just accept that it's going to be a little bit chaotic. And that's cool as well.
Embrace it. That's what we say now, isn't it? Embrace the chaos.
Absolutely.
I think when you've moved from being in an employed position, and particularly in a classroom, it is very freeing to then all of a sudden be able to go, right, okay, well, I can earn what I really want. If I put my mind to it, there isn't a ceiling limit now. There's potential to scale and do more. But there's also this massive to-do list that can just take over you, can't it? And it's
endless.
When you become so passionate about something, it's very much, and the way you talk about the business and how passionate you are about property, it's easy to see that it's part of your identity, and that makes going to work easy, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And things with task management is like, you've got to become really good at prioritizing. And I certainly wasn't. Ginny was very much better than me. But in a business, you're always going to have that to-do list. There's always going to be something else that you can do. So I'm passionate, but we've got 5-year goals for Sowena in our business. We call them hairy-assed audacious goals. And they're 5 years of where we want to be. And somebody said, well, you're 53, so you've better get a move on. But I think in teaching, I always felt I was drifting. Even though there was development plans, they were written by somebody else generally, and you kind of fitted into that. And it's taken us 2, 3, 4 years of, don't want to drift anymore. This is where I want to go. And this could be Sowena, this could be our own personal lifestyle, it could be financial goals, family goals, relationship goals. And we're working towards these 5-year goals. But every year we will review, and it's not like a New Year's resolution. You've always got 1, 2, or 3 things that you're working towards in 12 months' time. You've always got something that you're working towards. But the other thing is, people want their business to be perfect right from word dot, because they've been in this employment background where they've
Have
worked.
you been in that position?
Funnily enough, Virginia, yes, I have. And I think we, as humans, we beat ourselves up so much. And I can remember that first bit of that property journey, going out to all of those different patches and learning from those patches. And, oh, God damn it, I haven't done this. I'm such a loser. And blah, blah, blah. Whereas now, generally, more times than we don't, we'll look at the end of the week and say, what's the 3 successes that we've had this week? What's the 3 things that have really moved our business forward? Or what's the three things that might have a personal life or personal development? And I was hopeless at that. I was hopeless because you're always looking at the things you haven't done. You're always looking at the next step ahead. And before you know it, you're 53 and the last 30 years has just gone. And
yeah, I wouldn't know that. Too young.
Should we hear about the hairy-ass goals? Would you be brave enough to share one of those with us? We'll do a hairy-ass goal, and then we have one very important question to finish with.
Yeah, of course. I'd love to start, but
You go, Jay. You're on a roll.
Okay.
I don't want to stop you.
So with Sowena, do you know, we want to continue to build our portfolio. We want to continue to work with more landlords, and we want to continue on that property mission. But we had an opportunity to go to Uganda and Zimbabwe this year for the guy Samuel leads. And he doesn't talk much about this. For the last 7 to 10 years, he's been putting money into those countries, or Uganda certainly. And he had an awful experience where he busted his leg really badly in an accident when he was out there. He lost a quarter of his blood, and they put him into a hospital, and he was likely to catch more infections in the hospital than he was, not going in the hospital. So he made it one of his missions to put something back, and he built a new hospital ward out there. Anyway, we went out as part of his trust and was looking for the next opportunities in Uganda, and then he was looking in Zimbabwe as well. And it was a complete eye-opener. It was just... We went to schools where, there was 1,500 kids that were literally in classrooms that were falling down, that you could see, because we went with builders, that they were structurally unsound buildings. You imagine that in this country?
Yeah, terrible.
Yeah, absolutely. There was things like boreholes had been built by other charities, but they weren't working because there was no power in the school. And our builder said, for another 250 quid, you get a solar panel, and that would produce enough electricity to get the water up. And they're travelling 5 kilometres.
What's your goal, Jay? What's your hairy goal?
So
Bring it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing but fucking life story.
So for us, it's about looking at creating a Sowena trust so that we can start to do similar. It was so empowering to go out and see what he's doing with his money. And it may or may not be Africa, but it's something what we would like to give back to. And it may be we set up a trust for Sowena that we then start giving back to. And that's a big one for us. Or certainly that's a big one for me. I think it was an us, wasn't it?
Absolutely, 100%.
I don't think that's hairy-ass. I think you'll do that.
Yeah, I think that's
Definitely.
really good.
You're
Love
compassionate
it.
people. You've obviously caring. You wouldn't have been teachers if you didn't care. You've got all this experience and knowledge, and you're giving it already to people to help them make their money work harder. And you'll no doubt smash that. Definitely.
Thank you.
Should we have our,
So finally, We ask this question to every guest that we have on.
You're looking a little mischievous, Dave.
I know. I'm ready for this. I'm bracing myself. Am I going to just run?
Don't say
No, it's not bad.
Dave, either.
Well, this is the title of the show. What's the worst that could happen? So what's the worst moment that you've had happen in your many years of experience?
You're not divorced or separated, so that's good.
That's good. That's good. Oh, Jay, you're going to have to go. I really wanted to have this, but I can't think of anything.
Okay. I actually left teaching in 2000 and
This one.
you can see the support. So I left teaching in 2004 to live the dream, my property dream, but without any education, right? I didn't have any education at that point. And we started developing properties, and we did some commercial property, and we split them into flats in Bodmin. And we did 2 or 3 of these projects, and it was going really well without any education. Do you know, I was working with
The quick
keep
version.
it super simple.
quick
all right. So after these 3, my solicitor at the time said, there's something around the corner. We were in 2007 at that point. So there's something, I'm hearing a lot of noise, especially from London, that there may be something in the offing. Yeah, it'll be all right. It'll be all right. So we took on the biggest property that we did in Portmelon, and the other side of Mevagissey. And it was a flip where you buy, you add value to it, and then you sell it. And we had somebody who wanted to buy this off plan, and it was a 3-month project. Yeah, it was all right. It was going all right. And then the credit crunch hit. And I can remember that feeling of sinking and being completely out of control as property prices started to drop. The seller dropped out, and we ended up losing quite a large amount of money on that deal. Now, if I'd had the education that I'd had now, there's 2 or 3 exit strategies that I would have done. And I went back to teaching because my family said, I told you you're not a property investor. You're a teacher. What are you doing? You've got responsibilities. Get back into school. And I missed the biggest opportunity to beg, borrow and steal money and put it back into property in the last 100 years by all accounts. So does that qualify as
definitely
one of your darkest moments?
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining and sharing so much knowledge that's hopefully going to inspire the people that are listening to the podcast. And they can find you. You've mentioned the brand Sowena Lettings, so it's an easy one for us to remember. And they can find you on Instagram, website.
So we're on all the socials now. I'm getting better at LinkedIn after Dave's advice and help and support and nurturing.
Yeah, thanks. It's good to hear.
If they want to download this Renters' Rights Act document, that'll be on our
On the website, yep.
www.sowenahylets.co.uk.
Amazing. By the time this is edited and goes out, Dave's done his magic with the jingle. That'll be live.
Yeah. Thanks very much for coming in.
Amazing. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for the invite.
It's a pleasure.
We'll have you back again soon.
Thanks
Maybe.
very much.
Cheers.
What's the worst that can happen?